John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hey there, my name is John Ulzheimer. I am a consumer credit expert. I have been in the credit industry for almost 30 years now. I spent time at Equifax, which is one of the 3 credit reporting agencies in the US, and FICO, which is the company behind the FICO credit scoring system. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to prepare your credit for when you are going to get married. And so a lot of people, by the way, I just recently did one about how to prepare your credit when you're about to get divorced. And so I figured it was a good idea to kind of do the exact opposite of that, is how do you prepare your credit when you're about to get married? So a lot of people are probably scratching their head, why in the world is this something that I need to be concerned with? I mean, if I'm getting married, that's completely, independent of anything having to do with my credit. That's true. However, a lot of people, when they are going through the process of getting married, there's a couple of mistakes that they can make. Number one is they don't have a good understanding of what their soon-to-be spouse's credit quality looks like. And look, trust me, I get it. It's not romantic. You'd rather focus on other stuff rather than focusing on your spouse's credit reports and credit scores. But look, this is the person you're going to be anchored to for the better part of the next however many years. It's not a bad idea to have an understanding of what their attitudes are towards credit. Do they pay their bills on time? Do they have good credit scores? What is their attitude towards credit card debt? A lot of people are really adverse to credit card debt. What is their attitude towards, buying a house and getting into a massive amount of mortgage debt? Do they have student loan debt? Are you essentially marrying into student loan debt? So at the very least, it's a good idea to do a little bit of, exploration with each other. And look, this cuts both ways. It's fair for them to ask you about your credit too. So that's number one, is this is not a discussion you should have on your honeymoon. Oh, I have a ton of credit card debt. Oh, I have horrible credit scores. I have judgments. I have collections. That's not something you want to learn about somebody when it's already something, you've already become Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. So I like the idea of having this discussion up front. I think it's fair, and I think that way that you two can deal with it, as a couple, or not. Number two is okay, now that you are married, what do you do about acquiring new debt? Awesome question. Every single person who's watching this right now who is married, about 50% of you will end up divorced, or you already are divorced. That's what the statistics indicate. So one of the things that's really hard to do when you get divorced is dealing with joint liability. So joint credit card debt, joint loans, things that you have together. It's really hard to separate that stuff when you get divorced. So my advice to people who are getting married is don't get into that situation. Not that I don't want you to get married. Go get married. That's awesome. Congratulations. I don't want you to get into joint debt. That's what I'm advising against. You don't need joint credit cards. You don't need joint mortgage loans. You don't need a joint mortgage. Do it independently. And it doesn't really matter which spouse does it. Pick the spouse that has the better credit and let them be the one who goes out and gets all the credit. It doesn't matter. You're both going to make payments. The money should be, used as the marriage as kind of as a single unit. That's all fine, and that's all very unofficial because the lender doesn't have their hooks into both of you. So first off, you don't need 2 incomes to qualify for a credit card. So jointly applying for a credit card makes absolutely no sense. You can always add someone else as an authorized user if you want to get them a card. That's number one, because it's going to help their credit anyways. That's number one. Number two, you do not need 2 incomes to qualify for an auto loan. And some of you are like, oh yeah, you do. And my response is, if you need 2 incomes to qualify for an auto loan, then you're looking for too expensive of a car. So you don't need joint applications to buy a car. Let one of the 2 spouses take that. The mortgage is the only scenario where I can see that you need 2 incomes to qualify for the mortgage loan, because obviously houses are very expensive depending on where you live. They may be enormously expensive, and you may need 2 incomes to qualify for it. That's different. That may be the only exception that I could think of. However, if you can qualify for a mortgage loan, just one of you, do it. Because if you do eventually get divorced, then you're not going to have to go through the process of essentially essentially dividing all these debts, which is impossible. You can't do it. The divorce settlement does not essentially separate the debts. The judge can't just decree that and it happens. It doesn't work like that, okay? There's still joint liabilities even after you go through the divorce process. So my advice when you're getting married, keep your credit in the individual name, okay? Individual credit cards. Both of you have your own credit cards. Individual loans. Both of you have your own loans. And that way you're living kind of this credit independent lifestyle without kind of having lenders having their hooks into both of you. And if you do ever go through the process of divorce, it makes it so much easier because you don't have to demingle the debts. It's not unromantic. It's called being smart. So if you have any questions about that, I have a feeling I'm going to get some arguments, which is fine. I love that kind of stuff. Drop them in the comment section below and we can talk about it. Thank you very much for watching. Congratulations on getting married, and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again soon. Invite me to your wedding. I like weddings. Talk to you later.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.